Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was almost ready and then I wasn't ready. Shay made my intro. She's made a bunch of stuff. She made stuff for the True Crime and Paranormal Festival. She's done all my intros. I definitely want to get like a longer one and an outro. So I need to get that figured out. I have a bunch of like video clips and stuff when I was on the news or did a speech or something I would like put into something. So I'm going to find somebody to do that because I know if I do it, it won't come out very well. Anyway, good morning. It is Monday, September 23rd, and I am Jessica for Justice. I hope everybody is having a beautiful morning. Good morning, Carrie, Amanda, Tash, Debbie. I don't know how to say your name. I'm probably going to say it wrong. Sanid? No, I feel like that's wrong. Dizzy, I'm sorry. Jen, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is having a good day. So let me pull up my playlist because, of course, there's always a bunch of crazy shit going on. And I tried not to save too many because I always get overambitious. And then I have way too many videos than I should actually be sharing at one time. All right, let's see. Here they are. All right. I wasn't ready for it to start. It just started in my ear. All right, so we're going to start in San Antonio today. It seems like there's been a rise in murder-suicides the last few years. And there just keeps being more and more of them. Unfortunately, there was one reported 2 days ago in the San Antonio area. It seems like there's one every other day. They're just constant. And I think that speaks a lot to the mental health crisis that we have going on and the economy and jobs, salaries. It's all connected. It all feeds together.
An update on an arrest murder-suicide on the northwest side. They have been identified as 63-year-old Manuel Limon and 64-year-old Azucena Limon. It happened on One Oak near Hillcrest, that's near Balcones Heights. Police say Manuel shot his wife while she was lying in bed. Police say he then shot himself. Their bodies were found by their adult son, who came to visit for his mother's birthday.
Tonight, piecing together a decades-old mystery, Queen City News continues to follow the story of a new...
I need to turn off autoplay because I don't want it to do that. I have a thing to play in between them too. Like, I gotta play the thing first. See? Look how cool. I don't know if I should add music or not to that, but yeah, so this plays and then we'll go to the cold case. School pickup, I hope that goes well. I know that can be really busy. So I'm gonna have a couple older cases that are gonna play. This one where DNA helped solve a case. Somebody that was kidnapped when they were a kid was found decades later, and then they're going to talk about Gilgo Beach. So I have 3 different clips that I'm going to play back to back.
Tonight, piecing together a decades-old mystery, Queen City News continues to follow the story of a new crack in a more than 20-year-old cold case.
Aisha Degree was just 9 years old when she disappeared from her home in the middle of the night. While some clues have emerged over the years about what could have happened to her, she still has not been found. But recent search warrants released by Cleveland County court officials shed new details on what authorities think may have happened to Aisha. They believe the then 9-year-old who disappeared in 2000 was killed. Anchor Robin Kennedy is live in East Charlotte at one of the properties searched last week on Walnutwood Drive.
And Robin, so what gave investigators new leads after all these years?
Alicia and Morgan, detectives had the evidence all along, but new DNA technology, along with those family tree databases where you upload your DNA, have come a long way, even in the last 5 years, and those are helped open up this case. The sheriff calls her Shelby's sweetheart. 9-year-old Aisha Degree disappeared on Valentine's Day 2000. A year and a half later, law enforcement found her book bag and clothes ditched, double bagged in garbage bags. But it's taken 24 years to crack the case.
The fact that they held on to it for this length of time is really amazing. And in my opinion, they've done a great job.
Leslie Kaufman is a forensic genealogist. It's the scientific way of saying she helps law enforcement take DNA from crime scenes or unidentified person cases, build family trees using DNA databases to answer who may have been involved.
Because of the advancement in genealogy, the advancement in DNA, they can do today what they could not even do 5 years ago.
DNA and forensic genealogy first gained attention when it helped catch the Golden State Killer in California in 2018.
I do it every day, but it's still amazing to me as well, to be honest with you. You know, we've come a long way, as they say.
No one has been arrested in the homicide of Aisha Degree. Search warrants executed for 5 properties in 3 different counties last week show DNA collected from a hair on Aisha's undershirt came back to Anna Lee Victoria Dedman Ramirez, the daughter of Connie and Roy Lee Dedman, the owners of some of the properties searched. Investigators say they used genealogical data to narrow down the DNA samples and also got a DNA hit from a former resident of the Dedman's nursing home who has since passed away. The warrants say Roy and Connie Dedman are the common links. Roy's attorney says the Dedmans deny any involvement in Aisha's disappearance.
Just say they're closer now than they've ever been before, and there's a good possibility they are going to come to some conclusion as to what happened to her.
Now, Kaufman says it is important to note that these DNA databases where you upload your results, they ask if you want to opt in to have law enforcement take a look at your results and your information. So she says it is your choice. I'm live in East Charlotte. Robin Kennedy, Queen City News.
At 10, an Oakland woman is celebrating tonight after decades of perseverance helped her family reunite with her uncle, who was abducted from a West Oakland park in 1951.
Luis Armando Albina was just 6 years old when he was taken while at the park with his brother Roger. He remained missing despite the efforts of Oakland police and the FBI. His niece, Alita Aliquin, was determined to find him and got a big break after taking a DNA test online and matching with a man on the East Coast.
My daughter found a lot of pictures of this man, and we started comparing them, and we saw the resemblance that was so strong, how much he looked like my other uncles. And then there was one picture that he really, really looked like my grandmother. That one kind of like gave me chills. And I said, no, there's something here.
This is a photo from 1940 of her uncle Luis and his father. Alita continued to search online, convinced she had a lead. She took that information to OPD, who then took it to the FBI. They found the man, and after comparing his DNA to Alita's mother, and Roger confirmed it was Luis, they set up a meeting in June.
It was just hugs and tears. Lots of hugs and tears. He hugged me really tight. And he said, thank you for finding me. And he gave me a kiss on the cheek. Yeah, it was nice.
Alita told me Luis visited again in July and spent time with his brother Roger. They were able to share stories of how they remembered that day in 1951, how they both served in the military and made up for lost time. Roger died in August. Alita also said her grandmother, Luis's mother, always held out hope that he was alive and okay. That woman passed in 2005, but Alita said she is smiling from above.
I think she's happy. I mean, I honestly think she was there guiding me too. It's just the way everything worked out. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's unbelievable. I just like, I believe that she was there guiding me. I do.
Alita said whoever abducted Luis has long since passed, and some questions still remain. She continues to stay in touch with her uncle, and they are planning an annual visit to celebrate them finding their way back to each other.
Who is this person? The mystery dates back well over a decade. New composite sketches have been released of a person authorities believe is another Gilgo Beach victim, rendered by forensic anthropologists. Now investigators need the public's help identifying the person of Asian descent who was between the ages of 17 and 23 years old.
However, now we know that it is a strong likelihood that the victim is of Southern Chinese descent, Han Chinese descent. And Han Chinese is one of the 56 officially recognized ethnicities in the People's Republic of China.
The remains were discovered back in 2011, but detectives believe the person died by blunt force trauma at least 5 years before they were found.
Because the victim was wearing exclusively women's clothing at the time of death, it is possible that they identified as a woman or were known by others as being a woman.
The suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann remains in jail on murder charges in connection with the deaths of 6 women. He has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. This is Inside Edition Digital.
So that's 3 different cases where they're discussing DNA and using these programs to be able to close cold cases, find people. So if you've done 23andMe or Ancestry DNA or any of that, you can actually use that information and upload it to GEDmatch or something like that and be able to help solve these crimes. So I'm going to put a website. There's this website that explains everything and the different options. And then there's GEDmatch. I'm going to share their website too. So GEDmatch is just, but I threw my phone. GEDmatch.com, and GED is GED match, MATCH. I'm looking at it, .com. And that'll explain everything and how it works. I saw this company when I was at CrimeCon and talked to them for a little bit. They had a booth there. It's very interesting. I would definitely check it out if that's something, that you're interested in. If you want to upload your DNA and have it ran against the crime DNA. I already warned my family that I did 23andMe and that I could, 23andMe. Yeah. So 23andMe, you can just sign a waiver. Yeah, the genealogyforjustice.org, that explains the different programs and how you can upload your DNA or which companies allow you to opt in. Some of them do just let you opt in. So I use 23andMe. And yeah, I made a post and I said, if anybody in my family has done anything horrible or is a serial killer, I'm going to give the government my DNA to test against stuff. So just fair warning. I don't think anybody is, but you never know. Like, I'm literally, you never know. Anyway, so last time I did a stream, we had discussed somebody that could possibly be appointed for chief of police in a Philadelphia suburb, and he was under investigation. Like, why would they use this person as a possible option? So in Detroit, there is somebody that is in law enforcement that he's not allowed to be a police officer, but he is a sheriff's deputy. That doesn't make any sense.
Sheriff's deputies who work inside the Wayne County Jail have always had dangerous jobs.
And their decisions can mean the difference between life and death.
Just last year, one inmate was brutally murdered by his cellmate after a sheriff's deputy went missing from his assignment. He later resigned. Well, today, the sheriff's office is struggling with severe understaffing, with the jail currently 344 deputies short.
So, did the sheriff's office lower its standards when it hired one deputy with a troubling past?
Here's 7 investigator Ross Jones.
Some people are meant to be the police, and some people are meant to call the police. He's someone who's meant to call the police.
This is a story about a sheriff's deputy who's not allowed to be a police officer.
This man is not qualified to be in public safety at all, period.
Until his latest job, Jamonte Horton had been fired or forced to resign from every law enforcement department he's worked for. Today, he wears a badge from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. Jamonte Horton was hired less than 2 years ago by the Sheriff's Office. He came there after being rejected by the Detroit Police Department and the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, and failing the background with Farmington Hills Police and Waterford Police. Horton's problems began early in his career. While only a cadet with Wayne State Police, he showed up to a party with a loaded gun. After a fight broke out, Horton was shot and returned fire. He resigned in 2015 for his role in the shooting. His next stop, Ypsilanti Police, where Horton was written up for missing shifts, found sleeping in his patrol vehicle, and caught playing a homemade pornographic video featuring himself to his fellow officers while on duty. He was also written up for putting those officers at risk, leaving a sergeant alone during a traffic stop and missing a knife during a search of a domestic violence suspect. And when he was working a sexual assault investigation, Horton failed to follow simple orders that led the case to be ignored for 2.5 months, leaving the suspect free on the streets.
Victims are the reason why police departments are in business, to help victims and to prevent people from being victims.
Ricardo Moore is a commissioner with the Detroit Police Department who rejected Horton's applications twice.
He shouldn't be trusted with the privilege of being a police officer.
Facing termination from Ypsilanti, Horton resigned in 2019. His chief said he'd been given multiple opportunities to improve, but still wasn't capable of completing his core duties like coming to work and remaining awake. His next stop, the Highland Park Police Department, where Horton's judgment was questioned early and often.
Who stabbed who? I ain't stabbed nobody, man.
In 2020, Horton responded to the scene of a stabbing at a club along Woodward Avenue. When it was time to handcuff a suspect, Horton was seen handing his department-issued AR-15 rifle to a strip club security guard, a violation of department policy. In a separate incident, while searching for a suspect, Horton did a U-turn across 2 lanes of traffic, striking another vehicle. According to Highland Park PD, he kept driving without checking on the driver he just hit. But the final straw came in 2022. While Horton was out on patrol, he heard over the radio that Detroit and Michigan State Police were engaged in a high-speed pursuit. According to Highland Park's investigation, Horton was ordered not to get involved in the chase, but he did anyway. And when he did, according to investigators, Horton manually turned off his body cam during the pursuit.
Why did you turn the camera off?
When questioned by Internal Affairs, Horton said the camera malfunctioned.
I didn't engage in no chase. I wasn't involved in the chase or anything.
But GPS data confirmed he was involved in the chase, and according to Internal Affairs, Horton made several false statements during the investigation. Highland Park called Horton's misconduct egregious, and as it prepared to fire him, he resigned in October 2022. 3 weeks later,
We really do want you on our team.
The Wayne County Sheriff's Office made Jamonte Horton a deputy. Since he resigned in Highland Park 2 years ago, Horton's law enforcement license was deactivated by the state, meaning he can't serve as a police officer until it's turned back on. But it turns out you don't need an active law enforcement license to work as a deputy inside a jail, where Horton works today.
We want to hire individuals committed to serving our citizens with honor and integrity.
Would you say that honor and integrity are words that apply to that deputy?
I would say definitely not.
Glenn Anderson is a Wayne County commissioner.
It's very surprising that with a record like that we would have him working in the sheriff's department.
We wanted to ask Sheriff Washington why his office hired Horton after so many other departments took a pass, but he declined. So we caught up with him at a budget hearing earlier this month.
Did the sheriff's office lower its standards to hire Jamonte Horton?
We never lower standards. Never.
How troubled are you that he was found to have been untruthful?
I'm troubled that happened. If that is indeed a fact, I don't know that to be a fact. Somebody that's talked to me about that part of it.
Well, you hired him, sir. Is that a concern?
Our agency hired him.
Washington told us he had nothing to do with Horton's hiring, but that's his signature on a document asking the state to reactivate his law enforcement license, allowing him to police the streets. But last week, the state said no, issuing an intent to deny the county's request, saying Horton did not meet the character fitness standard to be an officer.
He was hired by several agencies.
He was fired by several agencies or forced to resign.
I don't know about our last.
He was fired or forced to resign from 3 different agencies.
I have no firsthand knowledge of that again.
Is that not something you should know about?
I'm going to know about it, and when I know about it, we'll address it.
We left voicemails, texts, and emails for Deputy Horton. He did not respond. If he chooses to, he can appeal the state's decision not to reactivate his law enforcement license. Even without it, though, he is still allowed to remain a deputy inside the jail. Sheriff Washington told me Horton has a stellar record since joining the county. I'm Ross Jones, 7 News, Detroit.
I bet there's a ton of shady things on him outside the job. I agree. Alright, so last stream I had shown a woman that attacked a 14-year-old at an IHOP. So now there's a woman in LA County that pepper sprayed a bunch of kids at a Taco Bell.
A mother turns up the heat when tensions between high school students escalate at a local Taco Bell. Nope, it wasn't fiery sauce. She literally doused a group of teenagers with pepper spray, sparking a fistfight that is now going viral. We want to go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in Carson with more tonight. This is wild, Ed.
Oh, this is a really wild one, Marla. The video is crazy, and the story, wait till you hear it, even crazier. The woman shows up at this Taco Bell late last week, or around Wednesday last week. Actually, no, she's not looking for jalapenos or sriracha, and she's not packing. She's packing her own heat pepper spray here. Watch this video, will you? A blast of pepper spray, and it's on like Donkey Kong.
It was nothing much I could do. And same for everybody else. She was just pepper spraying anybody that she could get to.
That's the mother of a teenage girl yelling out, "I fight kids," one moment, and the next, spraying away.
I say it twice. I finna pepper spray somebody else's daughter. And that's when she fakes like she do it at first, and she calls me a quote-unquote scary.
And they laugh.
And they laugh.
Not laughing now. It's a wild scene, a free-for-all. Throwing punches. They're down on the floor. Throwing a right, a left, even throwing a hammer punch. It's like something right out of MMA going down here at Taco Bell.
But she kind of tackled me into the wall. Like, we fell again. And so she's still, like, punching on me, and I'm kicking her, trying to get her off of me.
And if that's not enough, the pepper spraying woman even picks up a Chromebook computer and cracks one of the girls in the back of the head. No wonder they never had a chance.
Once I'm pepper sprayed, and then you want to fight, and then took it upon herself to throw a Chromebook at my head afterwards, too. On top of the pepper spray and stomping on us and all that other stuff.
All the other stuff is the aftermath of an earlier argument the woman's daughter had with the other 3 teenage girls. It's an argument that ends in violence.
It's horrible. They shouldn't have never had to experience such a traumatic experience.
Now live, the LA County Sheriff's Department confirming that woman has been arrested, but we still don't know exactly what charges she'll be facing. These teenagers, all sophomores over at nearby Carson High School, they're worried that the woman might just get off, as they say, with a slap on the hand, but they want some serious charges filed against her. They want felony assault charges filed. We'll see how it all plays out. For now, we are live here in Carson. Back to good night, LA.
Hey, Ed, the one girl with the crutches, was that as a result of the injuries that she suffered?
No, interesting question, Marla. No, she hurt herself. She plays in girls basketball. In fact, they were here after the girls basketball training that night to practice. But anyway, she hurt her ankle playing basketball. But she said in that fight, in that melee, that woman, she alleges, actually grabbed her leg and twisted her ankle. So she's in another boot now, and her ankle injury even more serious because of all the craziness here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to follow up to find out which charges that this woman is actually facing. Ed.
I have to play the beginning again because the amount of like puns and wordplay that they did is amazing. Like, this channel is so funny for that.
A mother turns up the heat when tensions between high school students escalate at a local Taco Bell. Nope, it wasn't fiery sauce. She literally doused a group of teenagers with pepper spray, sparking a fistfight that is now going viral. We want to go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in Carson with more tonight. This is wild, Ed.
Oh, this is a really wild one, Marla. The video is crazy, and the story, wait till you hear it, even crazier. The woman shows up at this Taco Bell late last week, or around Wednesday last week. Actually, no, she's not looking for jalapenos or sriracha, and she's not packing. She's packing her own heat pepper spray here. Watch this video, will you?
We don't need to. I sound like I'm in a cardboard box. Oh. Yeah, sorry.
It switched over to the wrong mic. Now it's a better mic. Sorry. Thank you. I don't know why it did that. It switched over to the wrong mic for some reason. Thanks. Sorry. So she was right. Mics sound funny. Because I heard like a noise, and I thought it was the noise from that the broadcast, so sorry. You guys tried to tell me. Was it doing that the whole time, or did it just switch? My computer hates me. This computer is dying, so it wouldn't surprise me if the board is being weird. So, moving on to Boston, the police bust up an illegal nightclub. Okay, it just switched. All right, that's weird. Anyway. So what I was saying about the other video, like the reporters cracked me up. That one guy is so, like, he's like a game show host. So, yeah, for some reason, a lot of cities do have illegal nightclubs, and they're open after hours, people are drunk, and then it contributes to the crime around there. So this one was in Boston, in a basement. Oh, now my voice is being weird.
First at 10, guns, loud music, and an illegal nightclub. That's what police discovered when they showed up to a huge party at a multi-family home in Mattapan. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Keller.
I'm Krista Delcamp, and the owner of that property telling us that he's had problems with this tenant before. Let's get over to Boston 25 News reporter Lisa Pappas, who is live for us with the story tonight. Lisa?
Well, Boston police say they've been called to that same house multiple times for loud parties, and now neighbors are hoping after this bust that it won't happen again. Cell phone video shows Boston police busting an illegal nightclub early Monday morning on Rexford Street in Mattapan.
So when they open up that bulkhead back there, they come out like roaches. They come flying out.
You can see dozens of people running away and hopping a fence after officers arrived. Police say they found more than 50 people in the basement, which was converted into a club with a fully stocked bar and multiple hookahs. Police also seized 3 guns and arrested 2 men for disorderly conduct and trespassing, among several other charges.
Every weekend is a big party, and the aftermath is like trash, bottles, the loudness. 40 years on this street, and I've never seen seen anything like this.
Neighbors who didn't want to be on camera say they're sick of these parties. Police say they heard smoke alarms blaring from the basement when they got there Monday morning around 4:30.
At 4 in the morning, they got their systems. They're waking the whole neighborhood up. You can hear the cars coming from down the street. Boom, 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 boom. Every weekend.
Neighbors say the parties usually start around 3 a.m. and have been going on for months. Now, city leaders say it's time to crack down on this illegal activity. City Councilor Enrique Pepin represents this district.
Residents want to have a good time, but we have to make sure that it's done correctly and that there's the right permits for these locations. So, it's not only it's a safety hazard.
Boston Inspectional Services issued a violation to the property owners for not having a permit to run a nightclub out of the basement. Now the owners will need to clear this up within 30 days.
City Mattapan is home to a lot of families where they own their homes, so we want to make sure that they're taken care of, that the quality of life is not interrupted.
Now, the property owners tell me they're trying to get their tenant who's been hosting these parties evicted. Live in Boston, Elisa Pappas.
Yeah, exactly. If they're doing that in my neighborhood 4 in the morning on a Monday, I'm fighting someone for sure. Like, did you guys think you weren't going to get caught doing that in a neighborhood? When I lived in Miami, the people across the street from me used to illegally sell liquor, and they would play dominoes and be super loud. And I didn't mind them so much, but what I did mind is never having the ability to park in front of my house, because their people would always park in front of my house. So then, like, I started not allowing it because I want to park there. I pay to live here. Park on the side. And I know it's a public street, and if it was just once in a while, whatever, but it was every single day. So I would start honking my horn and just being obnoxious. And eventually they did get busted for some reason. The police showed up one day. I wonder why that happened. So it seems that there's more and more coverage of corruption in politics. There was I think a commissioner or some sort of government, like city council or something like that, for this guy in Fort Bend, and he had made multiple accounts and was like trashing him and trashing other candidates on social media. And so now there's another Fort Bend person that got in trouble for the same thing. So a Fort Bend County judge now has a warrant out because of coordinating fake attacks on social media. That's basically
this morning. Fort Bend County Judge KP.
Basically the same thing that the other guy did. So I guess it's a trend in Fort Bend County, but it doesn't surprise me. I think this has been going on in politics and social media for a while. People make multiple accounts and try to make things seem like something they're not.
This morning, Fort Bend County Judge KP George is now being implicated in what some are calling a dirty politics scandal.
You may remember back in June, Thurl Patel, who's running for Precinct 3 Commissioner here in Fort Bend County, was charged for allegedly faking racist social media attacks against himself. Well, the search warrant filed yesterday for Judge KP George's phones and computers shows investigators dug deeper and are now able to link Patel's alleged wrongdoing to Judge George. It all goes back to September of 2022 when Patel was George's chief of staff and campaigning for re-election. Investigators say Patel created fake Facebook accounts and then posted racist comments to garner sympathy for his boss. Some of those comments ended up in a collage on social media. The warrant says investigators found text messages from Patel to George telling him he was posting the image and asking him to approve his response to it.
How stupid. Like, how stupid is that? And give up your whole career just to try to gain sympathy on social media. And most politicians that I see on social media, it's not like they have a massive following. Like, especially for local officials, And the people that normally follow them already know who they are. So, and are probably already voting for them. So I don't really see it helping you that much. Another thing that picked up, especially around the pandemic, was cryptocurrency scams and crypto theft and hacking and stuff like that. Because when we think of money scams, we think of people in other countries, Nigeria, India. But there are a lot of people locally that are involved in scams and fraud. So a 20-year-old that was involved in a 230 million scam has now been charged. So 20 years old and involved in stealing $230 million. I guess that's a better goal than a better goal than robbing a convenience store for $100.
Now in just one station, 7 News cameras capturing exclusive video of federal agents swarming a Miami home. Now officials revealing they were taking down a multi-million-dollar cryptocurrency scam. 7's Alex Browning is live in Miami with the latest on the investigation and those suspects. Alex, good morning.
Ethan, good morning. Yeah, it was a lavish life. At least one of the scammers was living here at this Miami rental property that caught the eye of neighbors, and apparently so did the feds.
Lavish parties and luxury living all tied to a massive multi-million-dollar crypto scam. Federal investigators are pinning to a 20-year-old from Singapore busted Wednesday living in Miami. 7 News confirming this raid at a high-end home is tied to the arrest, one that had the FBI bringing out the big guns. A federal indictment for Malone Lamb states he and accomplices conspired to carry out cryptocurrency thefts and to launder stolen cryptocurrency.
Oh, wow.
No way. No way. One user on X uncovering the moment Lamb allegedly landed more than $230 million in stolen Bitcoin from a victim in D.C. Federal investigators say Lamb and at least one other suspect then used the illegally obtained cryptocurrency to purchase international travel, service at nightclubs, numerous luxury automobiles, watches, jewelry, designer handbags, and to pay for rental homes in L.A. and Miami. Accused of flaunting it all at parties like this one, luxury cars and designer bags like these. And don't forget the watches and jewelry like those pictured here. It all came, though, to a screeching halt. Wednesday night, FBI agents busting into a home neighbors say is a rental property.
I heard what I thought was fireworks.
Smoke pouring out as they raided during the day and investigated through the night. 7 News, the only station there capturing the feds combing through every inch of the mansion at 1201 Northeast 83rd Street.
You don't want to think bad of your neighborhood, you know?
For neighbors left wondering what went down, they now have an answer.
And so Lamb facing several federal charges. We're in Miami this morning. Alex Brown.
Ooh, what's this? AI real estate fraud. I'll look at that next. $230 million. That's like some movie Ocean's 11 stuff. So, I mean, good for him. That was, big. Good job, but bad because you stole somebody's money. And when you steal people's money, you can't be all flashy. But that's what happens a lot in Miami. These younger people get into scamming and they get all this money and they show off and then they get busted. Miami is a very about looks and money and yeah, it's very superficial. That's the word I was looking for. Miami is very superficial, and I can say that because I lived there. I know. Anyway, there are so many real estate fraud things out now. Why are you awake this early, Dina? I'm glad you're awake. Crunchy or smooth peanut butter? So I actually have both because we didn't have much of either. So I put smooth on one and crunchy on another. I prefer the crunchy. And we generally always have peanut butter, so the fact that we're low is kind of a big deal. So when you're renting and you're looking on Zillow or wherever else people look, there are a lot of fake ads. They still other ads, and people get fake leases and pay money, or they pay money to see a place or pay a deposit before they see it, and then they get scammed. So this, I have no idea what it is. But AI is definitely going to be a huge problem in the near future. Let's find out. Let's find out what it is.
New at 10, artificial intelligence is now being used to commit real estate fraud here in South Florida.
Almost cost one local man his savings. Night Team's Heather Walker has tonight's 7 investigates.
Udi Levy decided at 19 years of age he wanted to invest in real estate.
I've been looking for a while now for an investment, kind of to put my money towards, maybe to develop in the future. And my dad came to me with this land.
The land was this vacant lot in a neighborhood off of Dixie Highway in Hollandale Beach. His dad is a real estate broker. He learned about the property when someone reached out wanting to sell it.
Saying, I would love you to sell my property. I said, that's fine, let's get on a call. She said, I'm deaf, I can't hear, I have an issue, a problem, let's text. I said, okay.
He asked for 2 forms of identification to prove she was indeed the owner. When he looked up the property records, the IDs matched.
Matches the address, matches the passport.
He agreed to sell the land, listing it for $60,000.
We offered them cash, $52,000, and they accepted it.
So you thought you were winning?
Exactly.
The buyer said she lived out of state, so Florida Title and Trust, which was handling the closing, required a Zoom call to see the owner and make sure she wanted to sell.
Just having a normal closing. Somebody wanted to buy a piece of land and we're here to make it happen. Hello?
At first, the Zoom was going fine, but then something seemed off.
That's a video, no?
Lauren says the woman on the call looked like the pictures on the license and passport, but she wasn't acting normally.
Margaret?
They tried different commands.
If you can hear us, can you raise your right hand, please?
Lauren says they quickly realized it was an AI-generated image.
I caught it, but that doesn't stop them from going to another realtor or another title company and trying it with somebody else.
Both Miami-Dade PD and Broward County Sheriff's Office tell us this is the first time they've seen AI used in this type of fraud, but it won't be the last. It's a good warning to property owners.
I think just everybody needs to open their eyes, and unfortunately, I don't think any property is safe.
In this case, we tracked the picture back to a missing woman from California. Turns out the real owner died. Her niece has been paying the taxes, and the property is not for sale. Udi says he's lucky his title company caught the scam, or he would have been out $52,000.
You really just got to be careful.
He is still looking for the right property, but says the next closing will be in person.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem. AI videos, some of it's really good. I've seen some of these videos. I don't know which AI they're using, but it looks pretty real and it looks very good. They were using some lower end filter AI, so that obviously didn't do that well, but we're pretty close. I mean, heck, I was chatting with GPT the other night when I was bored, and it's like having a conversation, AI is terrifying. All right, let me get back to where we were.
An update on an arrest, murder-suicide.
Pause. Thank you. So Alabama had a mass shooting, unfortunately. 17 wounded, 4 dead. So just warning you guys. I don't have all horrible stories today, actually. I have some not horrible stories. So we're going to do this mass shooting one, and then I'm going to move into some non-horrible stories for a little bit, because there's other things in the news too. Just moving some stuff around. All right. So we're gonna talk about the Alabama shooting real quick. It's from CBS Evening News. I have the Citizen app, so Citizen app notifies me a lot of times when this stuff happens, and that's typically how I find out about stuff and like news alerts and stuff like that. That's not the video I want. I want this one.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday. We begin tonight in Birmingham, Alabama, site of the nation's latest mass shooting attack. Right now, police are searching for the gunman who opened fire on a group of people, killing at least 4 of them and wounding 17 others. It happened in a neighborhood filled with restaurants and bars, often crowded on weekend nights. CBS's Christian Benavides is there for us tonight in Birmingham. Christian, good evening.
Jessika, good evening. This is a popular nightlife district. Police say that while these shooters were targeting just a single individual, they indiscriminately opened fire on everyone.
The gunfire erupted on a Birmingham street in a neighborhood of restaurants and bars near the city's university.
Sounded like about 12 shots of a burst round gun went off. It sounded like 3 rounds at once, and we heard dot, 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 and then we saw a bunch of cops.
Police say it was a targeted attack involving multiple shooters, dozens of people caught in the crossfire.
That's 21 people whose lives were forever changed. That's 21 families that were, some were destroyed and some were just altered.
More than 100 shell casings were recovered from the scene. Investigators say it points to a weapon capable of automatic fire. The mayor saying his city is suffering.
Gun violence is at an epidemic level and an epidemic crisis in our country. And unfortunately, the city of Birmingham finds itself, unfortunately, at the tip of that spear.
Officials say there have been at least 105 homicides in the city so far this year. Police now seeking help to identify the shooters.
The public's assistance is where it's really going to come down to at the end of the day. That's the biggest piece that will expedite this investigation.
Police said the intended target of the shooting is believed to be among the dead. Officials also said that they believe that at least one of the shooters had an illegal switch on his weapon, allowing it to be used fully automatic. Jessika?
Wow, Christian Benavides, thank you.
32-year-old Andy Norton loved Legos growing up. At age 6, Andy did what a lot of kids.
So that shooting happened Saturday a little after 11 p.m. They just updated the story last night, so that it looks like it was Saturday. Or I can't tell if it was last night or Saturday. But it was this weekend. And it is the 404th mass shooting this year. And yeah, Birmingham's not exactly the best area. But regardless, to shoot that many people just to get one person over what? Probably some stupid gang shit. Let's see. People believe the shooters were carrying out a hit on one person. So, yeah, it looks like it was a hit. So I would assume that it was a gang hit or something. No, they shot a crowd. This was like downtown Birmingham where the bars and restaurants were, is what it sounds like. Let me see. Yeah, they were in the entertainment district. So there's clubs, bars, all that stuff down there. Yeah, that's horrible. I hope they find who did it. In less horrible news, a 32-year-old stuck a Lego up his nose when he was 6 and just found it.
32-year-old Andy Norton loved Legos growing up. At age 6, Andy did what a lot of kids do, put them right up their noses.
I have a distinct memory of myself putting that in my nose.
When the little piece called a Lego dot wouldn't come out, 6-year-old Andy concocted a plan that only a kid could come up with. Andy put a Lego man like this up the same nostril, hoping that it would click onto the dot and both pieces would come out at the same time.
I was hoping that the piece would stick to his head and I could just pull it out. But I didn't quite understand that if I did that, well, then his head was going to get stuck.
And that's exactly what happened. The Lego head got stuck too. Mom came to the rescue.
She's pulling him out with the tweezers, and as she's looking around, she's like, okay, there's nothing else left in here. We're good to go.
But Mom didn't realize the other tiny piece was still inside. For the next 26 years, yep, you heard right, 26 years, Andy was tormented by congestion, asthma, and sleep apnea, but never made the connection. Then one day,
now I'm in the shower doing my thing and I'm blowing my nose in there and out pops this Lego and this memory came rushing back to me.
And this is the Lego piece that has been stuck in Andy's nose all those years.
I had a Lego up my nose for 26 years.
I don't think I ever stuck anything up my nose as a kid. Not that I was told or remember. Dixie put tiny tarts up her nose. And Dina said when my mom talked her little brother into shoving pebbles up his nose. Oh my gosh. That's terrible. Yeah, I don't remember doing that or being told. And if I did something like that, my mom definitely would have told me because she's told me every other embarrassing.
We have an I-team warning after some mysterious rings are arriving in the mail.
I didn't hit play. Calm down, YouTube. But I feel like she would have told me because she's told me literally every other embarrassing thing that I did when I was a kid. They're only 10 months apart. I know someone who stuck a dried piece of corn. It grew. And she's partially deaf because of it. Now I'm going to ask my doctor to look up my nose and in my ear. Now I'm going to be paranoid that there's random stuff in my ear. So, more fraud alerts. So, there's so many different kind of fraud now. You have to be so careful. They will, like if you get random packages, sometimes it's people doing a scam where they have an account online and they're selling stuff and then they'll send the person a label and they're not really sending them that. But then if the person says they never sent the package, they're like, no, look, I have this label. And they'll send you like really cheap stuff off Amazon or whatever, but this scam's a little bit different.
We have an I-team warning after some mysterious rings are arriving in the mail.
Yeah, a Wake County woman got not just one, but 2 rings in the mail. Troubleshooter Diane Wilson is joining us now here in studio. And Diane, this surprise jewelry is actually all part of a scam.
You know, when you get a surprise in the mail like flashy rings, even if it's fake, it would catch anyone's attention. And thankfully for this woman, the red flags went off as soon as she got it, and now she's warning others about it.
It appears to look like a shiny diamond ring.
I knew that it wasn't real, but I also felt like it needed to get to the right person.
In efforts to get to the right person, Melissa Anderson looked at the sender's name and address on the package.
I thought that Cody Polk sent this to the wrong person. And so I was trying to find Cody Polk on Facebook. And so I typed in Cody Polk and then it said Cody Polk ring. And I knew right then that there was something going on.
She quickly learned she wasn't the only one getting this ring, which turned out to be a moissanite, not diamond. On social media, there are several posts, people saying they got the same ring from what appeared to be the same person. And then,
on top of that, I received a second one.
Now 2 exact same rings. The rings come with this warranty card that has a QR code which states you need to scan to register the ring for the warranty.
It seems so just innocuous. Like, I'll scan the QR code and do my warranty.
According to the United States Postal Inspection Service, this is called a brushing scam, where scammers send unsolicited merchandise to people for various reasons. A sheriff's department in Louisiana issued a warning about this scam, stating their financial crimes detective investigated it and says the goal was to try and get you to innocently scan the QR code to get your information. Melissa never scanned the QR code, as she says there were too many red flags. I tried to get to the bottom of who's behind mailing the rings, but emails to the company listed came back as undeliverable. The return address goes to a business strip mall with no location for the exact address. And the name Cody Polk appears to just be a random name being used for the scam.
What worries me the most is people who don't know better, and people who feel like they're doing the right thing. Oh, I got this wonderful ring and I want to be sure that I warranty it so that I get my lifetime limited warranty or whatever. Then they get caught up in this.
Well, Melissa says she has no idea why she got the rings. She does order online often. Investigators say sometimes it's just random who gets the items in a brushing scam. Oftentimes it's when your information is leaked in a data breach. To protect yourself, check your accounts for recent unauthorized charges and change your passwords to accounts, and also monitor your credit report for any type of errors. And according to the Federal Trade Commission, when you can't keep any unordered merchandise that arrives.
Yeah, I thought it was called a brushing scam, but I didn't want to say it and be wrong. I mean, yeah, you can keep the rings. There's nothing wrong with it. They're probably from, like, Temu. Temu actually sells moissanite, well, supposedly moissanite rings and other rings. They don't look bad, some of them, but I don't know what they actually are. And QR codes on stuff are risky. Any QR code that's everywhere, like, they sometimes will cover the QR codes in parking lots, like if you have to scan to pay. So those you have to be really careful with. In, this new technology world, the technology is going to move a lot faster than laws and everybody knowing what's going on. Unfortunately, just like with AI, which that's, terrifying. Anyway. So you may have heard of the woman that died at Disney because she was served something she was allergic to, or that had been in contact with something she's allergic to, and her husband sued. And then Disney's like, no, you can't sue because you have Disney Plus. And in the agreement, it says, you have to do arbitration. So there's a restaurant that's doing that now. So if you make reservations at this restaurant, if something happens, a slip and fall, anything like that, you lose the right to sue and you have to do arbitration. Airbnb has those clauses. I don't know if Vrbo does, but Airbnb definitely does. So those big, long things that they have when you're signing up for stuff, like the legal agreement and all that, you may actually want to take time to read it. Or maybe copy and paste it in Chat GPT and ask them to summarize it at least and pull something out of it. Yeah, so the Disney suit, I think that Disney wasn't able to pull that off. I'm not sure. Let me see. I think the judge was like, no, Disney lawsuit. Let me see. Because I don't like just guessing. So Disney asked a federal court to dismiss the lawsuit. Oh, wait, nope. That was against the governor. Never mind. I forgot that there was more than one lawsuit. Okay. So Disney reverses course on bid to block wrongful death lawsuit by widower who had Disney Plus. So I guess that they decided it didn't look very good. So now it is going to court. But they tried to not go to court because the person had Disney Plus. So that's just something that we unfortunately also have to be aware of and look into so we don't get scammed. So many scams, so many ways to get the short end of the stick. Like, let's see, I don't even know where this restaurant is. Where's News 9? Where are you? What? Where is Casa Bonita? Where are you? Denver, Colorado. So this is in Denver, Colorado. Well, or the surrounding area.
Today, Casa Bonita changed its reservation system so everyone can sign up for a seat. You may have received an email asking you to join the Founding Members Club. That's one way to get early reservations.
Are we investigating Casa Bonita? Is that what's going on here tonight?
Apparently.
We played the little video that says we're investigating them. And it turns out there's something buried in the fine print, which you will have to trade to get your hands on those sopapillas. Here's Jeremy Fajola.
As a Casa Bonita fan, when I got the email for the Founders Club, I did what most people do. I dove in headfirst and completely scrolled through the terms of service. Who's got time to read all of that? But our Steve on Your Side producer did and found an interesting all caps clause deep in the fine print. You are giving up the right to litigate a dispute in court before a judge or jury. What does that even mean?
There's no jury.
We showed this to 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor, who calls it an arbitration clause.
That's the problem, is that you're giving up this right before something even happens.
A common legal tactic companies use to get the upper hand on litigious customers and to avoid bad publicity in court.
The reality is you're giving up a very important right and you don't know it. I would assume 95% of the people who signed that had no idea that they've given up their right to a jury trial.
It means if you want to sue Casa Bonita for something like a slip and fall or food poisoning or whatever, your claim would be handled in private mediation. Using Casa Bonita's services means you agree to resolve any dispute on Casa Bonita's terms, outside of a public court and away from public view. Do people really have a legal beef with the old Pink Tower? Well, like any big business, lawsuits are gonna happen. Just a few over the years. An allegation about an exploding margarita glass, a piece of metal in someone's food, and a classic slip and fall. Legal stuff is gonna happen. Is an arbitration clause bad? Well, it can make it really hard to hold a company accountable. Take the case of the man who recently sued Disney because his wife died of a food allergy at Walt Disney World. Disney attorneys tried getting his lawsuit tossed because the man signed up for the streaming service Disney Plus. Disney Plus had an arbitration clause which said he couldn't sue in court for any Disney service he used.
And that's the thing. It's deep down in the document. You don't really have any power to go back and forth and negotiate. It is in legalese. It's sort of a take it or leave it.
After bad publicity, Disney attorneys backed off their arbitration claim, and the lawsuit is now moving forward. And now you know what's in the fine print. But don't let us ruin your fun when you sign up for Sopapillas and sign away some of your rights.
I mean, who reads the terms of service anyway?
Well, I'm not sure that I read every term of service. So, wait, is this live? So,
Jeremy Fajola, 9 News.
So just be aware, maybe read the terms of service, or, like I said, copy and paste it and put it in ChatGPT and ask it, is there anything in here that mentions arbitration or lawsuits? And ChatGPT is not perfect, but it's better than not looking at it at all, because now I'm not trusting any company. But I've already signed up for so much stuff. It's too late. I probably can't sue anybody. Let me see, what else? Let me move this down here. I got some animals later. So one of these videos I meant to play the other day and then I forgot. So the Young Thug trial is still going on, the YSL trial. It's going to be going on for forever. Never going to end. So a judge a few days ago called out the prosecution's witness list.
Court will resume today for the YSL RICO trial. The last witness was an Atlanta police detective who testified about his investigation into key witness Lil Woody and the murder of Donovan Thomas. While the key witness Lil Woody was on the stand, we heard a lot of questions about a number of interviews in 2015 between he and a detective, Detective Thorpe. In some of those interviews, Lil Woody accused rapper Young Thug of a number of crimes. Prosecutors and attorneys asked Detective Thorpe about physical evidence connecting Young Thug to the crimes. Testimony revealed most of that evidence has been lost. During court, Judge Paige Whitaker called out prosecutors for not having enough witnesses ready to take the stand throughout the day in court. We have been following every twist and turn in this trial from the start. Right now on 11alive.com, you'll find an interactive timeline of the key dates in the case up to today. Go to 11alive.com and type YSL timeline in your search.
The piece.
Yeah, I feel like that trial is never going to end. 7 years from now, it's still going to be ongoing. Yeah, the way that they say the rappers' names and the gang names is pretty funny. But yeah, I probably can't say it any better, Little Woody. But isn't it is it Woody, the way that she's saying it? I don't even know how it's said. I need to look it up. But he's hilarious. He's been everywhere. Since he's been a witness, I have seen him on so many shows, so many online shows. I've seen him on... The only reason I know that he's on some of this stuff is from Twitter, because some of it's stuff that you only see on a website. I'll just say that. He's living his best life before he possibly goes to prison. It's definitely a very interesting case, that's for sure. Yeah, how much is it costing Atlanta? How much tax money is being spent on that trial? That's a great question. Probably a lot. That's what I'm going to guess, a lot of money. Let me see, what else? Oh, here, we're going to play this one before we look at the delivery driver. Safety tips. Probably not going to do that again. Add music or something. I don't need to see safety tips like that. So another scam and something dangerous to look out for is people pretending to be delivery drivers to try to gain access to your home. It's one of the reasons I'm glad that I have a dog, and a large dog at that. And I have a sign that says, "Do not ring my doorbell. Protective dog, leave packages." So hopefully that also lets bad people know that I have a large dog that you probably don't want to meet, and hopefully you don't want to break into my home. But even if you don't have a dog, Alexa Security, I think, has a feature that will play dog barking and stuff like that. So definitely get something that would deter people, because this stuff is terrifying.
Of a bright, sunny Texas morning shattered by unexpected visitors. When authorities say two men forced their way into a Houston area home with guns, one posing as a food delivery worker. Ben Bates owns the home but was away. It was his daughter who answered the door to tell them they had the wrong house.
I think you have the wrong house.
We came with a DoorDash bag and knocked on the door. And that's when my daughter answered, and then as soon as she opened, he forced his way in.
Bates says the suspects zip-tied his daughter's wrists. Her 1- and 3-year-old sons were also there.
Your daughter and your grandkids, how are they doing right now? Have you talked to your daughter?
I have.
What did she say?
She's terrorized, but she's okay.
A quick-thinking neighbor realized what was happening and called 911.
I got a message from my neighbor who said, "You need to get home because the police are there and there's gunshots."
Bates quickly pulling up the video from his Ring doorbell camera to see what had happened.
I can see the guys when they entered, and I hear my daughter scream in terror, and it's kind of the worst thing a father can ever experience. And they were threatening her, threatening to kill her. It was just the worst thing.
Police arrived in a matter of minutes, finding the armed men inside.
The suspect came out of what we think is a bedroom and shot immediately at the officer. The officer returned fire, did not strike the suspect, but that was the suspect that ran out the back.
That officer, Scott Durfee, was shot in the leg while his partner found the second suspect in another room and arrested him. In the midst of the chaos, Bates says his daughter managed to break free of her restraints and grab her children.
We don't know how, maybe it was adrenaline or the grace of God or whatever, but as soon as the police came in, she just pulled her arms apart and the zip ties were free and ducked behind some couches before the gunfire started.
The suspect, who ran off after firing shots, was taken into custody nearby in another neighbor's yard.
I mean, to look out your kitchen window and see 3 police officers with guns drawn, telling him not to move, it scared the hell out of me.
Police later announcing the arrest of a third man believed to be a getaway driver of this white Toyota Camry, seen leaving the scene on this neighbor's doorbell camera. All 3 men charged with aggravated robbery. The officer who was shot later released from the hospital the same day. Bates's daughter and grandchildren left physically unharmed, which he credits to that neighbor and Houston police officers who didn't hesitate to enter a dangerous situation.
Our neighbor and those 2 officers that came in are true heroes. They protected our family.
And Valerie Castro joins us now in studio. What else do we know about those suspects now in custody?
So all 3 are set to make their first court appearance tomorrow, and the district attorney says 2 of the 3 were actually out on bond for charges related to another criminal case. As for that DoorDash ruse, we reached out to the company, and they say that one of the 3 men used to work for them as a delivery driver, but he hasn't made a delivery or worked for DoorDash since 2023.
Listening to the father there, you just feel for him and the whole family. I mean, this is everybody's worst nightmare. What else did he have to say?
He says the lesson learned in all of this, he says the family had gotten complacent about opening their door. And he says even though they had that Ring doorbell camera, they never used the feature where you can look to see who's at your door or talk to the person at your door without actually opening the door. He says they will now be using that feature in the future.
Valerie Castro, thank you.
Yes, definitely use the Ring doorbell for sure. And I used to use DoorDash and delivery services, but now, especially knowing that accounts get rented out, accounts get stolen, anybody could be bringing you the food. There have been people killed from delivery drivers. This person used to work for DoorDash, and again, 2 of them are out on bond for other crimes. A lot of these people that are out on bond, unfortunately, are still committing crime. And these guys are probably out on bond again. Well, maybe not because they shot a cop. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to check the Harris County Clerk of Courts and see. But the majority of people get bond regardless, even for homicide. So, because it is your constitutional right. So if you want that to change and you live in Texas, you have to pay attention to what happens in legislation sessions and let your representative and senator know what you want. Because tried to get a law passed last time and it did not pass, because the only thing that we want are for judges to have discretion when it comes to bond. Sorry, my cat is now demanding attention. Here's the cat. Here she is. Oh, yes, hello. Oof. Yeah, Uber, Lyft, yeah, you never know. It's terrifying. But sometimes you have to use Uber or Lyft. It is really scary. So an update in another decades-long case, probably should have put that together with the other cases. A child rapist that they were looking for, they discovered had been murdered.
More than 4 decades later, several child rape survivors in Grand Rapids have a sense of justice tonight.
Authorities have finally figured out what happened to a serial rapist many years after his escape and disappearance. We should warn you, the details of this story are disturbing. News 8's Byron Tollefson is in studio with more.
It's been a mystery what happened to this man for nearly half a century until now.
It has been a journey.
In 1978, Irma Shaw, just 12 years old at the time, says she was raped by her own stepfather in Grand Rapids, Tommy Lee Hill.
And not only was I molested by Mr. Hill, I have to also tell you that I was impregnated by him. So I have a child that's buried in a cemetery because of him.
She was far from the only victim. Police say Hill raped several children in Grand Rapids in the 1960s and 1970s and in Terre Haute, Indiana, when his family visited him behind bars. It was Irma's testimony coming forward in 1978 against Hill that helped convict him of several crimes.
And if it wasn't for 12-year-old Irma being a brave, amazing 12-year-old, there's an excellent chance that we could be talking double or triple the number of victims.
But on the day of the conviction, police say he escaped from the old courthouse into a getaway car waiting on Monroe Avenue. He was arrested that summer, brought back to an Indiana prison, and sentenced to 20 to 40 years for the rapes. But in July 1980, police say because of a breakdown in communication, an Indiana county jail released him. He's been missing ever since, leaving his many survivors no sense of justice or closure.
The fact that Tommy had gotten away for so many years, on my heart, I knew that if he was still alive, he would still be victimizing children.
The U.S. Marshal Service took over the case in 2017. Irma continued to advocate, sending them a detailed genealogy report. Detectives went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this April and found that Hill had changed his name. They then learned that Hill had been shot and killed back in December 1983 by the brother of one of Hill's victims.
I feel so grateful to be able to fully meet me and live a life where I no longer look over the back of my shoulders. And the reason that I did that is not only for myself, but because I knew the heart of this man would continue to victimize because of who he was.
For Irma, after a lifetime of chasing answers, she says justice was served. If Hill was still alive, she says she would have said this.
When I was a child and I was weak, you were able to take advantage of me, but I'm no longer a victim here. I am triumphant because I've overcome this. And in many ways, my test, and that's what you put me through, is now my testimony.
Police don't know for sure how many victims are truly out there.
They didn't say which victim's brother, but apparently one of the victim's brothers killed him. How do you accidentally release a rapist sentenced to 40 years? I mean, it still happens today. Probably a lot easier to do in the 80s. Yeah, definitely a very sad story, but, you know, justice, I think, was served for sure. So again, someone shot meeting somebody for a transaction. I'm not sure if this was them selling something online or if this was a drug deal, because the story literally says some kind of transaction. That's a very weirdly worded, don't you think?
A violent night in San Antonio. We've got new details after several shootings around the city. Officers received a call for a shooting just before 9:30 last night on Burnett Street near East Houston. Police found the 19-year-old victim inside a vehicle. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Police say the victim was meeting up with some people for some kind of transaction. The suspect shot the teenager, then took off with the victim's personal property. The victim also took off and ended up on Burnett. It's unknown where the initial shooting happened.
The attack happening just a few blocks away.
Huh. I don't think that story did not have that much information. He was meeting some people for some kind of transaction. That is excellent reporting. Should have just said kid robbed San Antonio. That would have been basically the same thing. I hope the kid makes it. 19's pretty young. So over a few streams, I have been sharing stories of Facebook Marketplace. It was a daybed with lace bedspread that made me laugh. I mean, it really could be anything, because I've seen stories where people are meeting up to sell a gun, or they were meeting up to sell shoes and they got robbed or they got shot. Could have been a drug deal. I don't know, but that was the vaguest story ever. They gave us the street name, though, so that was helpful. So I talked multiple times, news stories in Chicago, New York, of women being randomly punched. Again, we have an 81-year-old woman randomly punched in New York City.
The attack happening just a few blocks away from Lincoln Center, and that suspect is still on the run tonight.
All right, Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino spoke exclusively with the woman. What did she have to say tonight, Duarte?
Steve, Natasha, that 81-year-old woman told me she feels lucky to still be breathing and walking. When I sat down and spoke with her, she also explained how she has bruises over much of her upper body.
The neck was almost as fat as my face. My nose is broken. Here, you can see the swollenness here. Can you see the black and blue? Yeah, maybe I'll take my glasses and you can see.
Gwilla has survived heart surgery, a hip replacement, and now a vicious attack.
That's the scary part, in front of my building.
In this surveillance footage obtained exclusively by Fox 5, you see her stop as her dog sniffs a wall. A man dressed in black walks past her. Her back is to him. He turns around, heads towards her, punches her so hard she's knocked off her feet. We intentionally pause the video before the punch lands.
When he knocked me, I hit my nose here, and then I fell down.
In the video, you can see her attacker calmly walking off. Her dog tries to comfort her. Passers-by rush to help her. She's laying still on the sidewalk. You don't look like you were going to get up when I saw that video. But here you are.
Because I didn't want to see the tape. And maybe because I feel so lucky, because he could have had a knife, right?
She suffered a concussion and doesn't remember much of the attack, but it has now been added to a growing pile of NYPD data showing misdemeanor assaults up 9% from this time last year and up nearly 15% over the past 2 years. You can hear the stories of women randomly punched on social media.
I just got punched in the face walking home. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I can't even talk.
Here's a closer look at Gwila's attacker. She wants treatment for him, not jail time.
It was not against me. He is sick because he did not really rob me, did not take anything. He just really just hit me for no good reason.
She says she knows what her neighbors were thinking when they saw her outside just 3 days after the attack.
Already you're in the street? Of course I am. You know, I'm not going to hide in my apartment.
And she is in good spirits, but her attacker, he's still out there, and police need your help to find him. On the Upper West Side, Duarte Geraldino, Fox 5 News. Steve, Natasha.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so horrifying.
She needs a scarier dog. She's got a Labradoodle. And, I mean, yeah, he probably needs help, but he needs something. He needs to be off the streets if he's a danger. So I hope that he gets help, but he needs to go somewhere. Because he just randomly attacked an 81-year-old woman. Who else is he going to attack? She needs like a German Shepherd or Great Pyrenees, a big dog. So another reoccurring theme that we've seen recently is children killing their parents. Another teen charged with killing his mother appears in court.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Bang.
So, and this one is in the Chicago area. The one that I shared last time was in South Florida in Port Charlotte. So this is a different story.
I'm Tamon Bradley. A teenager appeared in court today. He faces one first-degree murder charge in the shooting death of his mother.
WGN's Andrea Medina has details from court.
Family members of 17-year-old Davion Pryor, who is being tried as an adult, showed up to the Cook County Criminal Courthouse on Saturday afternoon as the teen appeared before Judge David Kelly for allegedly killing his mom. While family requested not to be on camera, they shared that the teen had been diagnosed with a mental health illness and was receiving help. They emphasized the need for increased funding and resources for others in similar circumstances. When his case was called, prosecutors stated that shortly before 4 p.m. on September 19th, the teen's parents were arriving at their South Shore home after picking up his 7-year-old brother from school. Prosecutors alleged that as the mom was unlocking the door, the teen was on the other side and shot her 4 times in point-blank range to her head and body. They went on to say the dad and brother ran out to call 911 and heard additional gunshots. Prosecutors say police recovered a 9mm handgun and found 12 shell casings next to the mom's body. She was rushed to the hospital but died from her injuries. Hours after the shooting, prosecutors say the teen turned himself in and is facing first-degree murder charges. They also mentioned he has 2 pending juvenile cases, one for carjacking and another for aggravated battery, and he was on home confinement at the time of the incident. His defense team argued that while they acknowledge it's a murder case, they believe there's no reason for society to be concerned as it was a familial situation and proposed he should be placed on electronic monitoring. As these details came to light, Judge Kelly asked the teen to raise his head as he had kept it down for most of the hearing. The judge was visibly emotional while speaking to the teen, stating that it was an unprovoked shooting that led to his mother's death in front of his father and sibling. Prosecutors believe the teen's actions pose a threat to the community. The judge agreed and ordered him to stay in custody. The teen is scheduled to return to court on September 27th, while his juvenile cases are set for October 3rd. Reporting at 26 in California.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Lock up your guns. If you own guns, lock up your guns, especially if you have a kid that has anger issues or is committing crimes. But this kid was already doing carjackings and stuff, so the weapon may not have been in the home. He may have gotten that himself because he's obviously already running the streets. But why are you so angry that you're going to shoot your mom 12 times? And yeah, why are these kids so angry? They seem so much more angry than we were 20 years ago. But I think that it's a much different world, but I don't have the answers. I really don't. I wish I did. Then I would, have them. All right, so another update in the Diddy trial. This is just a quick video, about 3 minutes. There's been a lot of Diddy videos, of course. I think this is going to be something that's going to be in the news for a very long time. And Lindsay, I do somewhat agree. I feel like a lot of times defense attorneys use mental health. There are definitely people that have mental health issues and are in crisis or have anger issues, but the majority of people with mental health are not violent people. So it also makes people with mental health look bad. So anyway, yeah, back to Diddy.
Off the top, Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, in prison, denied bail, facing...
Why are you yelling? That was really loud, right? Like she's loud?
Federal sex trafficking charges. On Tuesday, prosecutors in the Southern District of New York unsealed an indictment accusing Combs of sex trafficking for over a decade, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors cite video evidence of Combs assaulting a woman at a hotel in 2016. That lines up with the publicly reported tape of Combs kicking and dragging his then-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, at a Los Angeles hotel. And that tape is part of the reason why a judge took the extraordinary step of denying bail.
The law says that when a person's facing the charges Sean Combs is facing, the presumption is that he's locked up pending trial. So the field is automatically tilted in the prosecution's favor. He is looking at a minimum of 15 years behind bars if he's convicted. The prosecutors argued that. And finally, prosecutors argued intensely that Sean Combs is engaged in constant obstruction of justice, intimidating witnesses, bribing witnesses, and that usually strikes a chord with judges when they're considering bail.
Combs put up a $50 million bond, agreed to surrender his passport and take weekly drug tests, all in an attempt to get out on bail. That was denied, in part because the magistrate judge was concerned about witness tampering and obstruction of justice. Combs appealed that decision. He was denied once again, and now his lawyers vow a second appeal. The indictment details some of what investigators found when they raided his home last March, including narcotics and 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Prosecutors say the drugs and oil were used as part of an elaborate and produced sex performance where drugs were used to subdue the victims. Combs faces up to life in prison. And the 58-year-old man who planned an apparent assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump at his golf club in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, I'm done with that clip. Doot, 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 doot. She hurt my ears. She was way too loud. Just way too. You need to calm down. I don't know what she was. Why are you yelling? That was too much. Way too much. So the other day I had played the victim's daughter in the next story. So South Carolina finally carried out an execution. This was the first one in 13 years. Had played the family's video, and so now this is the story update after the execution.
He said he was innocent, but tonight Freddie Owens put to death for the killing of a convenience store clerk in South Carolina, the first execution in the state in more than a decade. After years of appeals came up short, 46-year-old Freddie Owens making a last-minute plea for clemency this week. His lawyers securing a sworn affidavit from a man who provided key testimony against Owens, but who now says he lied and Owens didn't kill Irene Graves, a mother of three who was shot in the head during a robbery of a speedway in 1997. Stephen Golden, 18 at the time of that shooting, now says he was high on drugs when police initially questioned him, and prosecutors offered him a deal to flip on Owens, adding, quote, "I was scared that I would get the death penalty if I didn't make a statement."
It's remarkable 2 days before a scheduled execution to have someone come forward as Stephen Golden did. He did not want to see an innocent man die for something that he didn't do. Candidly, none of us should.
Yet the state Supreme Court rejected those arguments from Owens' defense team, finding that newly recanted testimony from Golden insufficient without knowing more about how and why he signed it now. The High Court also pointing to other evidence of Owens' guilt, including his multiple past confessions to killing Graves. Graves' son, Archie, who lost his mother just as he was starting his freshman year in college, told NBC News Today, "I'm just ready to close this chapter on this part of our lives." Laura Jarrett, NBC News.
Thanks for watching.
So for somebody to come out and say that 2 days before an execution that's been scheduled for decades, because we saw the daughter that had spoke, and she was little when her mom was killed. She was like 10, and this was decades ago. 2 days before seems a little suspicious, but anyway. So a food truck driver in San Antonio was busted selling stuff other than food. So it was a one-stop party shop, but he got busted, so not anymore.
Developing right now at 6, a San Antonio business owner is accused of selling more than just chicken. Federal investigators say Jonathan Linares Lumbreras is facing 2 charges. Lumbreras is the owner of Pollos Asados El Gordo. It's located on Penn Road. According to a federal indictment, he was caught trying to sell cocaine to an undercover FBI agent in July. KENS 5 reporter Meredith Haas is looking into the case.
That federal indictment states the Pollos Asados El Gordo owner used an encrypted app called Threema to get in contact with an undercover FBI agent trying to sell him cocaine on July 9th. The arrest affidavit details the conversation between the two, where Lumbreras was allegedly trying to sell 2 kilograms of cocaine at the McDonald's off Walters and I-35 in San Antonio. The agent said, "Need one ASAP before my guy goes somewhere else." Lumbreras then replied, "I got you like 12 dough." That's when they hear. The affidavit said regarding the timing of the sale. It also describes a man named Edward Smith, who was allegedly helping deliver drugs, but was stopped before the drop-off, and the drugs were seized by investigators. Authorities believe both Smith and Lumbreras conspired to possess more than 500 grams of cocaine and intended to distribute it. According to the criminal complaint, the McDonald's had been used months prior for 2 other drug deliveries between the agent and Lumbreras. An affidavit from a previous criminal incident in 2021 shows Lumbrera being on supervised release for possession. If he is convicted in this most recent incident, he could face up to 40 years in federal prison.
I guess they like that McDonald's. He has his whole restaurant and a food truck. I guess he didn't want them meeting at his business. 500 grams. I feel like 500 grams isn't like that much. Like, it's a lot, but it's not like that much. Hold on. I need to do some math. I need to figure this out real quick. Hold on. That's like a pound. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of stuff, but like, they're not, moving a bunch of weight. Like, clearly this isn't a Miami bust, because they get like 500-pound bust. Yeah, that's like a pound, 500 grams. Because if you divide 28 grams, because there's 16, 1 ounce is 28 grams, and then there's 16 ounces in a pound. Anyway, but yeah, it's not that much. But I mean, it's a drug bust, but I expect more getting the FBI involved and all that. Come on, y'all. Get your numbers up. Well, he's not anymore. It's a lot, but like, it's not the type of bus that I'm used to seeing. I mean, it's a lot, but like not a lot. If you know what I mean. Because yeah, more than that just washed up on the beach in Miami. So there's new video that was revealed in the Madeline Soto investigation and her mom's boyfriend being interrogated. There's some video from the police station interrogation that was released recently.
Thank you for joining us at Western News at 10. I'm Stuart Moore.
And I'm Michelle Imparato. Tonight, we are taking a look at new video showing the moments Jennifer Soto and Stephen Stearns were questioned about Madeline Soto's disappearance.
Western News' Tony Atkins spent the night combing through this new video. Tony, it went on for hours.
Stuart, both they faced tough questions as police dug in, trying to figure out what happened.
Do you have any idea where she may be?
No.
None whatsoever.
New video shows Stephen Stearns in an interrogation, pressed by deputies who, at the time, were trying to track down 13-year-old Madeline Soto. They spent hours pressing for answers.
Well, I can confidently tell you she did not go to school with her backpack.
How's that?
Because we found it in the trash. So, Stefan, here's what I'm asking you and pleading with you is to dig down and do some soul searching.
Stearns asked for an attorney, and this is how the questioning ended.
Do you want to know what you're being detained for? Capital sexual battery and possession of child pornography.
His clothes removed and photos taken to see if they matched up with photo and video evidence deputies found in his phone. He sits cuffed, takes a sip of water, then he's walked out. Deputies say he was supposed to take Madeline to school on the day she disappeared. The next day, Jennifer Soto cried as she began her interview with deputies, recounting the day she learned her daughter never showed up for class.
At some point in this, I emailed one of her teachers asking, actually emailed a few of her teachers and two of them responded. One of them said, no, she did not make it to class. And I checked her attendance for the rest of the day. She wasn't in school at all.
Deputies also pressed her, questioning her awareness about her daughter's years of alleged abuse.
I feel like you want to tell us.
No, if I knew what to tell you, I would tell you. If I had the truth, I would tell you. I don't know anything.
And so far, only Stearns has been charged in this case. He's due back in court on October 14th. Stuart?
Tony, thank you. Let's take a look back at how we got to this point. 13-year-old Madeline Soto was reported missing on February 26th. 2 days later, Stephen Stearns was arrested on charges of sexual battery and possession of child sexual abuse material. A day after that, investigators said that he was the prime suspect in her disappearance. Soto's body was found in a wooded area in St. Cloud March 1st. Then on March 12th, 60 new charges are filed against Stearns, many of them related to sexual battery and molestation.
Cannot wait for his trial to start. Or hopefully he takes a deal and stays in prison for the rest of his life. So, the reason I was unimpressed with that drug bust is like, these are the Florida drug bust. I'm from Florida. What do you guys expect? 75 pounds on Texas beach. Like, I don't know. I just expected more than them to be dealers with just 500 grams. But I guess you got to start somewhere, right? But they're not going anywhere now. Let's see. What else? All right, so I got a couple more videos and then we'll be done for today. So I have another issue with the sheriff. So the NAACP held an emergency meeting after some social media posts. Social media posts get everybody in trouble. You got to be careful what you do on social media. But sometimes it's better that people show you who they are. Oh no! Hold on. I gotta go to the right screen and share my screen again.
Controversial social media post by a local sheriff has now made national headlines, and it has people who live in Portage County scared, angry, and desperate for change. Now at 11, Kelly Kennedy has the story.
Hundreds of people packed the Portage County NAACP's meeting tonight. Some people said they're now scared to vote. Other people say they worry their yard signs could impact if the sheriff's office will help them if they're in trouble. Other people are angry, and they're calling for the immediate removal of Sheriff Bruce Zukowski.
He is using fear and intimidation to tear us apart. We must use our grassroots skills, get together and petition, and walk amongst one another to have him removed from office.
It all started with this Facebook post made by Portage County Sheriff Bruce Zukowski. It says in part, write down all the addresses of the people who had her signs in their yards. So when the illegal human locusts need places to live, we'll already have the addresses. He posted again after it went viral and defended himself, saying he was exercising his First Amendment right. But many of those he swore to serve and protect don't feel the same way.
Our sheriff is a public servant who took an oath to protect and serve all people in this county, regardless of race, political affiliation, and he's broken it.
The NAACP held the emergency meeting so the community would have a safe space to discuss their concerns.
Is it possible if I've got a Harris Walls bumper sticker, could I be targeted or receive different treatment?
Frank Harrison says last week someone drove by his home and took a photo of his Harris sign.
Do you feel like this is voter intimidation?
I think it's more than voter intimidation. And my seniors are asking me questions. Should they take signs out of the yards or should they, and they might not vote?
So was this voter intimidation? Experts with the Nonpartisan Campaign Legal Center called the post irresponsible and said it could potentially violate state and federal laws. I called the sheriff to get his side. No answer.
You're basically inciting people. Some people will just take down an address. Other people may intimidate, harass.
I thought he was taking advantage of his position to bully people.
The Portage County NAACP tells me their national office is investigating the sheriff for voter intimidation. We'll keep you updated on this story. Reporting in Kent, I'm Kelly.
Yeah, you don't have to agree on politics, but you definitely cannot say record their addresses with the people that have these signs in their yard. That's not okay as sheriff. And his facial hair was really weird. I don't think I've ever seen that on anybody that was like intentional. Like, I've only seen it in movies in like parody movies. Did see the sheriff that shot the judge, yes. I shared that last time I streamed. I don't remember what day. Yeah, politics is getting absolutely insane. That's why I stay away from politics for the most part and getting into those conversations on my channel. Alright, so we're going to end with some happier videos. I got a couple more videos left, but they're all going to be... animals in the news, obviously, because that's what that screen was. So I have a couple animal videos. So the first one, a dog accidentally ran away and ended up at the police station. Like, he went to the police station himself.
Chico is a 1-year-old husky and German shepherd mix.
I got a thing for dogs that just look like wolves. You know, he looks like a wolf, I think.
But Chico is anything but wolf-like.
We're gonna have him at my dad's store, you know, to be a guard dog, but, you know, he's just doesn't take stuff seriously.
He loves to play fetch.
Well, usually he just drops it and, you know, lets it roll around, then I grab it and I throw it again.
But one morning, it was his owner, Edward, who'd have to fetch him.
They posted that picture at 3:30 a.m.
While Edward was asleep, Chico ran out the gate.
Started chewing it.
And you've never taken him to the police station before?
No.
And that's exactly where he went. Chico blowing up social media that morning with photos of his furry self greeting employees at the Odessa Police Department, a mile away from Edward's home.
That's kind of cool, you know, he knows where to go.
But the post circulated to where it even caught the attention of Edward's nephew.
He asked me, is that Chico? And I'm all like, well, yeah, and I came outside and checked it, but he was here already.
And that's exactly right. After Chico said his hellos to the department, it may have been his curfew calling because he ran out OPD's doors and headed back home.
He does got the look of a German shepherd and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of people were posting he probably wanted to join the squad or something like that.
Were you trying out for the canine unit? He said yes. So it was only fair we took him back to the scene of the crime, where he could pay another visit to his friends.
Hi, Chico. The dog that came in the other day.
You're the dog, the famous dog, huh? They showed up to OPD. They applied for the canine position.
They say a dog is a man's best friend. For Chico, Edward is his. A dog who made the distance, who will always find his way back home.
So the next story is going to be cyber dogs that work
The
for the
newest
government.
crime fighter in Rockland County has unique abilities and a name that honors a 9/11 hero. Tony Aiello explains what makes Remy, the cyber dog, so special.
So as soon as she comes through, she's going to start sniffing it.
Sniffing an odor from electronic devices, a flash drive hidden under a table, smartphones under a radiator. The super-sensitive nose of Remy the cyber dog sniffed them out. When she suddenly sits, it tells Detective Tim Hayes she's onto something.
So there's a certain chemical compound. It's called triphenylphosphine oxide. And what that is a flame retardant that they use on USB and memory sticks, for cell phones, microchips. So that's ultimately what she's searching for.
Remy is certified to conduct these searches nationwide and is registered with the Department of Homeland Security. The Black Lab is one of just 100 cyber dogs in the U.S., trained to find electronic devices so often used in crimes. Rockland DA Tom Walsh says Remy represents an evolution in canine crime fighting.
I can remember the old movies of the bloodhounds that were used to track down people. So I think it's a natural progression that we use our four-legged friends' innate abilities to help us in investigation and prosecutions of crimes.
The red bandana on her collar, a tribute to her namesake, Wells Remy Crowther, the legendary man in the red bandana who died on 9/11 after helping more than a dozen people escape the South Tower. Allison Crowther says her son would appreciate the dedication of Remy and her handler.
Once he had a mission or a goal in mind, he wouldn't give up until he achieved it. And that's what he did on 9/11.
23 years later, a cyber dog with his name works to keep Rockland County safe.
Leaves me feeling wonderful.
Tony Aiello.
That's so sweet. And that dog has the cutest face. Like this little face right here with her teeth. It's so silly. But yeah, I love that they did that. That's beautiful. So we've got our dogs, and now we have a cat story. So a lost cat that went missing in Yellowstone made a journey back to California. What was the movie where like the cat and the two dogs get lost and then they like travel to get back home? Was that Homeward Bound, or was that a different movie? The talking animals. So kind of like that, but in real life. No, Milo was a dog and a cat. This is 2 dogs and 1 cat. I don't remember the name of it, but Homeward Bound. Okay, I was right. It is Homeward Bound. So, Homeward Bound in real life.
Tonight, a near catastrophic story with a picture-perfect ending. A missing cat's unbelievable journey home. How cute is that cat? So this California cat went missing months ago in a different state, and it was found in Roseville.
Yeah, this is a story you gotta see to believe. Your reporter covering Placer County, Brady Halbleib, has more on this cat's journey. Yes, from Yellowstone to Roseville and back to its home in Salinas.
I just hear this yowling.
It was July 1st when Alex Bitts stopped right here on her way into work after she heard what she calls a cat yowling.
Cats don't generally yowl like that unless there's something wrong.
She went down into this drainage ditch outside of Sutter Roseville Hospital to find this cat barely holding on to life.
It took a while for me to actually get the cat close enough to see it.
As an animal lover at heart, Alex did what she says was the right thing to do. So she DoorDashed canned cat food to work and brought a cup of fresh water during her break.
As soon as I opened that first can, he did poke his head up and he recognized the sound. So to me, that indicated that he was a pet.
The next day, Alex returned with more food and a dog kennel. She was able to get the cat inside, and she took it home, nurtured it for a few days before taking the cat to Placer SPCA.
It was the hardest thing we had to do.
1 month before, Suzanne and Ben Anguiano were camping in Yellowstone with their 2 cats. While transferring them from the truck to the camper, their cat Rainbow escaped, running off into the woods, and park rangers there didn't give them any encouraging news.
He goes, good luck. If your cat doesn't make it home tonight, good luck.
After searching for 5 days, they had to give up and return to their home in Salinas.
I felt like I was abandoning him.
Now here's where things get wild. After being surrendered to the SPCA, the cat was scanned for a microchip, revealing it was registered to Suzanne.
I still didn't believe it. I said, okay, you have to describe him to me, because it was so overwhelming that this could be true.
The theory is Rain hitched a ride knowingly or unknowingly with someone who happened to live in Roseville.
As God has placed all the little, as we look back,
signs,
all the signs,
yeah,
were there,
allowing the pieces to line up for Rain to be found by Alex.
Things lined up the way that they were supposed to, that it wasn't me necessarily, but somebody working through me.
Wow, Wow, Alex went above and beyond. You
Yes.
said it. How many people would have heard the cat and just assume it was?
Stopped and done what she did. If cats could talk. I said that the first time I heard this story.
Yeah.
She'd probably have a story.
She'd probably say, next time go camping without me. I'm good here.
I'll wait for you to be back.
Oh, Lord. The poor, and obviously they love the cat so much, the guy was going to cry talking about it. Oh, I would be devastated if I lost my cat like that and had to leave her. That's horrible. But yeah, I want to know how the cat made it all the way to California. That's crazy. And thank God that everything worked out. Well, try to end things with happy stories, and today I had a few. But that is going to be it for today. I hope everybody has a beautiful rest of their day and enjoy your Monday if you can. I know Mondays suck, but enjoy today. All right, I'll see you guys again soon. Love you all. Bye.